the Princess Elena of the Wonderland. In the wide land called Wonderland, there were soft hills, slow rivers, and forests that seemed to breathe with quiet life. Colors, they were gentle but bright, and seasons changed like calm music. In the middle of this land stood a white palace with round towers and open gardens. The palace was the home of Princess Elena, the only child of the royal family. Princess Elena grew up with many lessons and many rules. Her days were planned from morning to night. She learned reading, writing, numbers, history, and the old stories of Wonderland. She learned how to walk with grace, how to sit in a careful way, and how to smile for long hours. She wore dresses made of silk and lace, and her hair was always shaped with care. Many people worked to make her life easy. Food came to her without waiting. Rooms were cleaned before she noticed dust. Paths were opened before she stepped forward. From her high windows, Elena watched the city below the palace hill. She saw people moving like small dots. She saw carts, markets, and busy streets. She saw children running, and old people sitting near doors. The city sounded far away, like a soft noise that never stopped. She felt safe in the palace, but she also felt distant. Her life was full, yet it felt narrow. Wonderland was a kind place, but it was not simple. People worked hard. Weather changed fast. Some years were rich, and some were poor. Elena read reports about the land, but paper did not feel like life. She wanted to understand the real days of the people. She wanted to know how it felt to walk without guards, to wait in lines, and to make choices without help. One quiet evening, after a long day of lessons, Elena looked at her reflection in a tall mirror. She saw a young woman with calm eyes and careful posture. She saw a face known to many, a face on coins and paintings. She wondered what would happen if this face was not seen. She wondered who she would be without the signs of royalty. An idea grew slowly in her mind. It was not sudden or loud. It was patient, like a seed under the ground. She decided to change her looks and live among the general public for 1 week. She did not want special treatment. She wanted normal days. She wanted to learn by living, not by reading. The plan was made with great care. Only one trusted helper knew the truth. Simple clothes were chosen, made of plain cloth in soft colors. Her hair was cut shorter and tied in an easy style. Her skin was darkened a little by safe dye, and small lines were drawn near her eyes to change her face. Shoes were strong but not fine. A small bag held coins, bread, and a simple map. When the day came, Elena left the palace early in the morning. She did not ride a horse or a carriage. She walked down the hill on her own feet. The city gate opened, and she passed through as just another young woman. No one bowed. No one stopped. The air felt different, thicker with smells of food, wood, and dust. The first challenge came quickly. Elena felt lost in the streets. In the palace, halls were wide and clean, and signs were clear. In the city, roads turned often, and houses stood close together. She walked too fast at first, then too slow. She learned to watch the sun and follow simple marks. She learned that getting lost was part of learning. Finding a place to stay was harder than she expected. Inns were full or too costly. Some places looked safe, but were not open. At last she found a small room above a bakery. The room was warm from the ovens below. The bed was narrow, and the window was small. The smell of bread filled the air all night. It was not comfort, she knew, but it was honest and steady. On the second day, Elena went to the market to buy food. She stood in lines and waited. People pushed and moved without looking at her. Prices were written on small boards, and some changed during the day. She learned to count her coins carefully. She learned that a small mistake could mean no food later. She bought vegetables and bread, and she carried them back by herself. Cooking was another test. In the palace, food appeared ready and warm. In the small room, she had a tiny stove and a single pot. She burned her first meal. The smell was sharp and sad. She cleaned the pot and tried again. The second meal was simple but good enough. She felt proud of this small success. As days passed, Elena learned the rhythm of the city. Mornings were loud and busy. Afternoons slowed down. Evenings were full of tired faces and quiet hope. She watched people work in shops and on streets. She saw how hands grew rough and backs grew tired. She saw how smiles appeared anyway, small and quick, like sparks. Her changed looks protected her, but they also brought new problems. Some people ignored her completely. Some looked at her with quick judgment. She felt invisible at times. She felt exposed at others. She learned to stand her ground without anger. She learned to step aside without fear. These lessons were not written in books. On the fourth day, rain fell hard. The streets turned dark and slippery. Water ran into shoes and soaked clothes. Elena had no extra coat. She felt cold and heavy. She took shelter under a narrow roof with others. The air was close, and the ground was wet. Time moved slowly. She learned patience in a new way, measured by drops of water. Work was another part of the week. To earn more coins, Elena helped in the bakery below her room. She carried sacks of flour and cleaned tables. Her arms ached, and her hands turned white with dust. She woke early and slept late. The work was honest and tiring. She learned the value of each coin earned by effort. During her work, she listened more than she spoke. She noticed worries about weather, prices, and health. She noticed plans for small joys, like shared meals and rest days. Life was made of many small pieces. None were grand, but together they were strong. By the fifth day, Elena felt a change inside herself. Her steps were more sure. Her eyes moved with purpose. She no longer waited for space to be made for her. She made space by moving with others. She felt part of a flow, not above it. She also faced fear. One evening, as the light faded, a narrow street felt unsafe. Shadows were long, and sounds were unclear. She chose a longer path with more people. The choice cost time but saved peace. She learned that safety often comes from simple decisions. Hunger taught another lesson. Coins ran low and choices became hard. She skipped a meal and felt the slow ache in her body. It sharpened her senses and softened her thoughts. She understood how food shapes mood and strength. She promised herself to remember this feeling. On the sixth day, Elena helped a child who had dropped a basket of fruit. She picked up apples and placed them back carefully. The task was small, but it mattered. She felt connected to the moment, to the street, to the shared effort. The world felt close, not distant. At night in her small room, Elena wrote notes in a plain book. She wrote about mistakes and learning. She wrote about tiredness and pride. She wrote about the quiet power of ordinary days. Her writing was simple, but her thoughts were deep. The final day arrived sooner than she expected. The week had stretched and folded in strange ways. It felt long in effort and short in memory. Elena walked through the city with careful attention. She watched faces and doors, corners and signs. She carried the city inside her now. Returning to the palace was both easy and hard. The path up the hill was the same, but her steps felt different. Guards opened gates. Halls widened. Rooms cooled and softened. Fine clothes waited. The mirror showed her true face again, clean and known. Elena did not feel relief alone. She felt respect for what she had lived. She felt a quiet weight of knowledge. The palace was still her home, but it was no longer her whole world. In the days that followed, changes appeared in small ways. Elena asked better questions in meetings. She listened longer. She spoke about markets, work, and shelter with clear care. She supported plans for fair prices and safe streets. Her choices carried the memory of wet shoes and burned meals. She also kept some habits. She walked more. She cooked simple food at times. She wore plain clothes on quiet days. These acts kept her close to the ground of life. Wonderland continued to change as all lands do. Seasons passed. People worked and rested. The princess grew into her role with a wider heart. The weak and simple clothes did not make her perfect. It made her aware. In the end, the lesson was not about hiding or pretending. It was about seeing. By changing her looks, Elena changed her view. By living among the people, she learned the shape of their days. This knowledge stayed with her, steady and useful like good shoes on a long road.